Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham namasami. So, welcome everybody. um, This is a Sila celebration or Sila Sunday. And it brings us a lot of joy to keep the precepts for ourselves and others if we keep these precepts well. So we call this celebration because it's an occasion for happiness. So it'll bring happiness in our lives if we keep these precepts well. So I am going to share the document online, and we have someone here. May I mention your name? Amy is here. Amber, excuse me. Amber is here. Amber is here to help with the call and response and take them. So I'm sharing the document. Okay. So are you happy to do the request? You can do it either both in Pali and English, or you can
in Pali English.
Just a second, I have to adjust something here. There we go. Welcome. The people pop in. We're just about to start. We have the refuges here, and Amber is going to make the request. You could just do the English, that's fine. Pardon me?
Should I begin?
Yes, please start.
We sister requests the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. For the second time, we sister request the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. For the third time, we sister requests the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts.
So I will say Namo Tassa 3 times. And can you maybe a little bit, speak a little louder too? Okay, yeah. And then you would repeat after me 3 times. And then after that, the refuges and precepts are line by line. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa sama sambuddhassa.
Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One.
Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, Perfectly Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, Perfectly Enlightened One.
So now we'll do the three left refuges, line by line. And if you could say, let's see, I guess we'll just do the Pali then. Is how it appears here. So we do each section at a time. Buddham Saranam Gacchami.
Saranam Gacchami.
Dhammam Saranam Gacchami.
Saranam Gacchami.
Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddham Saranam Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami.
Tatyampi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami.
Tatiyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Tatyampi Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
Tisaranam Gamanam Nitidam. So here are the 5 precepts. Svetlana, are you just 5? 5?
Yes.
5, okay. All right, so no one's taking 8. And so if you could say, after you chant the Pali, say the English, just to affirm it in your own language. Panatipata Veramani Sikapadam Samadhyami.
Panatipata Sikapatam Samadhyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature.
Adinadana Veramani Sikapadam Samadhyami.
Dhyani Varanami Sakapadam Samadhyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given.
Kame Sumi Chachara Veramani Sikapadam Samadhyami.
Kame Sumi Chakara Sikapadam Samadhyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct.
Musawada Veramani Sikapadam Samadhyami.
Musawada Sikapadam Samadhyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from false and harmful speech.
Siramirya Maja Pamadatana Veramani Sikapadam Samadhyami.
Saramira Sikapadam Samadhyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to carelessness.
So, Imani Sikapadani Silena Sugatinyanti Silena Bogasampada Silena Nibutinyanti Tasma Silam Visodaye. These are the precepts for training. Virtue is a source of happiness. Virtue is a source of true wealth. Virtue is a source of peacefulness. Therefore, let virtue be purified.
Sadhu. Sadhu. Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu to all of you. This, like I'm saying, this is a source of happiness, source of peacefulness, and true wealth is what we're gaining from these precepts if we keep them well. And happiness comes from lack of remorse, but also just the generous heart, that comes from keeping these precepts. So today I decided to talk about stream entry. Let's talk about Sotapanna or Sotapatti, the attainment of stream entry, but not to emphasize the idea of attainment, but to consider the qualities of someone or of a stream enterer, and what are the factors, what are the qualities and factors that help nurture entering the stream. So I think many of you know that stream entry is the first stage or phase of and the four phases of awakening in the Theravada tradition. This is how it's understood, that there's these phases, and so it's a gradual path, and it doesn't happen all at once. Although there are reports of in the suttas where people attain, like non-return or arhatship very quickly, or just seemingly suddenly. And there's some idea that perhaps that happened because of a past life, that in a past life they were Sotapanna, or maybe just very quickly happens for some people, but they've been, there's a, in the suttas, there's a simile of the ocean floor. And so the ocean floor, the ocean comes up to the shore, and if you were walking on the surface of the ocean floor, you'd just be walking gradually. So suppose that you could actually do that and walk underwater. But he talks about the ocean floor it's gradually sloping downward, and then suddenly there's a drop off. So it seems like it's very, very, very gradual, and then there's a drop. And so Sotapanna is described as a shift in our perception of the world. Instead of this self-centered perception of me and mine and everything revolving, the world revolves around me, I am the center of the universe. There's like, there's also another analogy. Ajahn Amaro uses this one, that we're on the earth and the sun is rising overhead and then setting, right? And so that's our perception of it. And we're kind of the center of it, it's over our heads, and then, but actually the earth is revolving around the sun and the earth is turning, and that's the illusion of as if the sun was rotating around us. So the self-centered view gets it shifts and it's also called a change of lineage, because instead of just really identifying with our family history and our nationality and our class in the world and all this kind of stuff, all that drops away. That isn't the most significant identity, as a human being. So it's a change of how we're identified more with the Dhamma, than with all those way we identify ourselves, female or old or whatever, whatever, we have to identify with. So there's some classic teachings in the sutras about Sotapanna, and there's a teachings in all three or four major Nikayas about Sotapanna, but I've chosen a couple of extracts that describe qualities of someone who's entered the stream. And this is an extract. It's from the connected discourses of the Buddha, and it's called The Culmination of the Spiritual Life. And this is just a brief extract in it. It talks about the quality. So it starts out with a noble disciple who's a stream enterer possesses unwavering confidence in the Buddha. The noble disciple possesses unwavering confidence in the Dhamma. A noble disciple possesses unwavering confidence in the Sangha, that one who's a stream enterer. And a noble disciple possesses the virtuous behavior loved by the noble ones, unbroken, flawless, unblemished, unblotched, freeing, praised by the wise, ungrasped, leading to samadhi. It's translated as concentration, but samadhi or concentration or immersion, depending, or stillness. I think that Ajahn Brahm says stillness. And I have another, this is Bhante Bodhi's translation, and I have Bhante Sujato's translation here. And this is SN 55-2, and the connected discourses of the Sotapanna is SN 55. So this is the second one in that. So he translates this one as mendicants, a noble disciple who has four things is a stream enterer, not liable to be reborn in the underworld, bound for awakening. So this is a promise once you've entered the stream that you won't fall to any lower planes of existence. And human or deva or full awakening, and no more than 7 births. And so what for is the things that they possess? It's when a noble disciple has experiential confidence or sada in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So I think Bhante Bodhi said unwavering. It's another way of saying is unshakable. And the sada is confidence, faith, trust. So this confidence comes from experience, is what Bhante Sujato is pointing out here when he translates it this way, that it's through our own exploration of the teachings, our own experience in the Dhamma. It's not just because someone told you so. There's some people that come around with their doctrine, and they say, join us, this is great, this is all these promises that they can't prove, the happiness and things like that, but there's no way to prove what they have to say, like guaranteed heaven if you believe this and that. And so the Buddhist teaching isn't like that. It isn't just a gullible faith because somebody's charismatic and they can speak really well and they're promising you all these wonderful things and in the afterlife. And so and there's a lot of good in a lot of religion, and so I don't want to belittle other religions, but there are people that do that kind of soliciting. And uh, Buddhist monastics are not supposed to do that. It's forbidden, actually. And it's by people approaching us, or so. But the confidence comes not just in the, like, so somebody's like, well, I had confidence because the monastics that I met were just glowing and happy and really at ease, and they were just people that I admired. I found out they were keeping all these precepts and they're keeping their Sila really well, their precepts well. And so I got confident in just being around them, but also when I started looking at the teachings. So this is a confidence in the Sangha would be meeting monastics or people that are devoted practitioners, and you say, oh, there's something really special about these people. I want to be more like them. Something like that. They evoke confidence just by their behavior, uh, their deportment, various things. But then you'd have to investigate further. You don't just go on, oh, they're what seems like charisma or something like that. You just, is it really consistent? Are they, like if they're challenged with some kind of situation, do they fall apart? How are they in the world, if you get to know them a little bit? So this is a confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha kind of blended together. But yeah, so certainly looking at the teaching, and then I had confidence in the Buddha, in the teaching that he gave. It's just amazing that he knew humanity so well. And even like this timeless Dhamma that he taught is a apparent and also applicable now, not just something that was occurring at that time that that applied to that situation, but it just applies to life and humanity without any restriction of a time period. So then the noble disciple has ethical conduct loved by the noble ones, leading to immersion. So this is the at least 5 precepts. This, if one keeps 5 precepts, well, the Sotapanna is said to, that's their natural behavior. They wouldn't break any of the 5 precepts. They wouldn't think about breaking the precepts. So this is a characteristic of, and some of them may be keeping 8, but 5. At least 5. And if we all keep 5 really well, that was a cause of happiness for those around us as well as for ourselves. So our sada, our confidence will grow as we develop in wisdom and discernment and our experience and practice. So it's not just, like I was saying, gullible faith. And we keep our Sila well, our happiness and confidence will grow. So that's the four qualities that the Sotapanna possesses: unshakable or experiential confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and keeping one's Sila spotless. And if a Sotapanna inadvertently or intentionally breaks a precept, they try to remedy it right away. Like if they realize they said something that was untrue, and it could be just coincidental that they thought that it was true, but then they realized later it wasn't. Then they tried to remedy it right away. Um, try to cause no harm as much as possible. So here is the verse that comes at the end of that short sutta, and this is a different translator. This is do I have his full name there? Does it go? Oh, okay. It's Venerable Nyandananda Taro. And he has a site called suttafriends.org. If you want to look at other translations of, he's got translations of the suttas as well. So the sutta ends with, that is what the Buddha said. Then the Blessed One went on to say, those who have faith and virtue, confidence in the Sangha, and insight into truth, in time happily arrive at Nibbana by entering the path. So entering the path would be stream entry. So I have another more extracts that I'll talk about, and this is it's actually one, but I have different translations of it. This is also in the Sotapanna Samyutta, Sotapati Samyutta. So it's SN 55.5, and it's called Sariputta. And the Venerable Sariputta has approached the Buddha, and the Buddha starts to question him. And I love this because the Buddha is kind of testing Sariputta. It shows a kind of a student disciple kind of conversation, because he's asking him, what are the four factors of stream entry? Four stream entry, Sotapati. So the four factors for developing or attaining stream entry, it says four, it's Sotapati Anga, but it's the factors or limbs that are developed in order to enter the stream. So the first one, this is Ajahn Tanisaro's translation, is associating with people of integrity. So this is true, the saparisa. And saparisa is true people, or you might say good people, but people with integrity. And it could be teachers, but also your peers, other people who are on the path, other people that are practicing the Buddha's way and keeping the Sila well. I mean, even if they're not Buddhist particularly, the people that you want to identify and associate with more closely are the people that have integrity, that are keeping their Sila well, that are considerate and kind and generous. And there's many people in the world that aren't Buddhists have this excellent, wonderful qualities. So we're influenced by who we spend time with. And it may be difficult if you have a job and there are people that are like kind of nasty to one another and competitive and mean. And so just how do we be in that situation? But to find maybe colleagues that are honest and kind and generous and helpful rather than competitive. So it may be challenging depending on your situation, but as much as we can, find those people who we admire and or we as peers could be mutually supportive. I know, like, I've heard stories of like people in a workplace and they're wanting to spread poison or something to kill the insects or something like that. And then you're the oddball because you say, no, no, don't do that. So it's challenging. So there's a lot of challenges out in the world, but as much as we can associate with people of integrity. And the Saparisa particularly would be somebody ahead of us on the paths, a teacher, but it can also be our peers. So that's the first of the four. And then the second is listening to the true Dhamma is a factor for stream entry. So the opportunity to hear the Dhamma. So if you are going to a place where there's the teachers, the Saparisa, then you will have the opportunity to hear the Dhamma, because usually that's what happens. When you go to a temple or a retreat center or something, then you hear the Dhamma. You have the opportunity to hear the Dhamma. And appropriate attention, this is the Siddhamma is the true Dhamma. It's a Pali term for the true Dhamma. And appropriate attention or wise attention or careful attention, there's a lot of ways that this is translated, and that's yoniso manasikara. And yoniso manasikara is a factor for stream entry. So we've associating with true people and we're hearing the Dhamma and we start to investigate. This is kind of an investigation. And it said yoni is like a womb where things are born from. So we look towards the origin of things. And then manasikara is the working of the mind. Mana is the mind and kara is the action, the action of the mind. So that's how we apply our attention to things. We're investigating causes, they're looking into causality, and also how we turn our attention towards things. And then the last one is practice in accordance with the Dhamma. It's Dhamma, new Dhamma, Patipatiya. And so practicing in accordance with the Dhamma, and that means it's not just passive listening, but the actual practice, putting it into practice. So we try to learn from, first we hear the teaching, and then we try to remember as much as we can of the teaching, and then we try to apply that to our lives as best we can. But also to understand that the Dhamma is the Noble Eightfold Path too, the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path. And how do we walk that path well? So the Buddha questions, this gets back to what I was just saying, but questions Sariputta, the stream, what is the stream? And Venerable Sariputta says, Sir, the stream is simply this Noble Eightfold Path. That is right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right immersion. So that is the stream. So entering the stream, meaning really possessing those path factors, that we developing them to a certain point where they're really integrated in our lives. They're part of our lives. They're part of our being. We're practicing in accordance to the Noble Eightfold Path. And then the Buddha questions Sariputta further and says, Sir, I mean, no, he doesn't say sir. He says, Sariputta, excuse me, a stream enterer, who or what is a stream enterer? And then Sariputta says, Sir, Anyone who possesses this noble eightfold path is called a stream enterer. So this is that sutta which describes it's those qualities, the good qualities. So it's I can repeat, and it's those qualities again. So it's associating with good people. That's the saparisa. Listening to the true Dhamma, the good Dhamma, and yoniso manasikara, or careful attention, wise attention, is translated so many different ways. I think Madhusujata says rational application of the mind. This is way of translating it. And so, and then the last one is practicing the Dhamma in accordance to the Dhamma. So these are the four qualities for entering the stream, for attaining stream entry. And as I was saying, we don't have to put so much emphasis on the idea of attaining something, because that's going to be could be some kind of ego issue. Either, oh, I'm so lowly, I'm not lowly, I haven't attained stream entry, or oh, I really have to do it. And it's all based on this concept of self being something other than what one is currently. And so that's not what should be emphasized. It's more the practice itself, putting these qualities in place and developing them. And as I was saying, with the first sutta, the faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha will arise as we do this work. That it becomes clearer and clearer that these teachings are really valuable, and they're life transforming, and just through our own experience. And then keeping our Sila well, plus these other factors, the factors for the development of the path. So yeah, don't worry about attainment. And if you hear anybody kind of like proclaiming or kind of bragging about an attainment, I would be cautious. I would, if there may be people that I've heard of, like seminar, and guaranteed that you can have a certificate at the end that says, I have attained stream entry. It's like, this is I would be very careful. I'm very doubtful about the authenticity of that. But but we can look to others for their good qualities, and just try to model ourselves. Maybe people are perfect too. So if if friends are good enough, the good enough, and you can help one another stay on the path, then that's really valuable, because you don't expect others to be perfect. But for ourselves, we work on just looking at our own shortcomings, and abandoning those, and being patient also. And if we're patient with ourselves, then we can be patient with others too, that that aren't perfect. But yeah, so the association with those that are admirable, or the ethical friends, and especially those that have the same values, and keeping the precepts according to the Buddha's teaching. And yeah, those others on the path, especially a little ahead of us on the path, it's really helpful to have. Then we'll have the opportunity to hear the Dhamma, and then we'll, for ourselves, investigate it and practice in accordance with the Dhamma. So that's what I'd like to share for today. And we can open it up now for questions, discussion. So anyone in the live audience, either in the room here or live on Zoom, could put up a hand if you want to ask a question. Does it all make sense?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it makes sense. And I think that investigation factor, the third, I've been also experiencing it and seeing how, I guess, experientially in different parts of life, it's all pretty much dukkha from like different angles, different sides. But my question, I think, is um, how not to get, too much into, okay, it's all dukkha, not to get too much when you see it so deeply. You see that nothing is,
Mhm.
there is nothing like it's all dukkha, right? How do you stay kind of like afloat, right? And I do have like confidence in the teaching, and that's why it feels it's just the right thing. But then I find myself often like really falling into this, okay, I'm stuck. Like I'm stuck. What is it? Like, what do I do?
Yeah, so the path is ideally the idea of the path is to lead us to freedom and happiness, and recognizing that in this plane of existence there's dukkha, and the Buddha does talk about there is causes for happiness, and there is experiences of pleasure or the pleasant, and to look at the cause of the dukkha, like the grasping at that happiness and grasping at the pleasant, and aversion to the unpleasant. This is causes of unhappiness. So it's kind of like the doctor is saying, there is heart disease or something, and what's causing it? And so we try to reduce, or high cholesterol or high blood pressure or something like that. What can we do for this patient to help lower the blood pressure and to get the cholesterol and good good order? So it's something that the Buddha is called a physician. So it's very similar to that. What he's saying, there is dukkha, there is a cause, but he also says there is cessation of that it can cease. This is the third noble truth. So we look at the causes and abandon the causes, and there may be moments. We have to be kind of aware of the moments where the dukkha has ceased, and we can be content and we can be happy. And uh, there's a lot of commercials. They show somebody's won the lottery or got some wonderful product, and they're like jumping up and down, and this is kind of excitement, and there's this concept of happiness, and we all know how transient that is. And then they get the new car and they're all excited and happy, and then they're and then they come back from shopping and they notice that somebody has scratched the paint job or something. Their new car has a dent in it or something. Someone has damaged it. And then it's just like, wow. So it's like it's an attachment, to things in the world. And knowing that things are impermanent, like we get a new car because we need it, and then there's the inevitable scratch or something that happens, or the kids spill juice on the upholstery or something. It's just like it's inevitable, that things are going to happen. And so we prepare our minds for that. And then, oh, okay, is that serious, a scratch, or things not being so perfect anymore? It's like it's not the brand new thing anymore. It's starting to show its wear, or it breaks down. Eventually it breaks down. So it's like this is the nature of things, and understanding the nature of things. And so not to be burdened by the idea of dukkha, but that this is the nature. It's part of the characteristics. And knowing the cause of dukkha, to be able to abandon that craving, the clinging, the wanting things to last forever. Uh, and then there's other causes of happiness that are not on the material side. There's like we were talking the other week about the four Brahma Viharas. These are a pure kind of happiness that aren't dependent on any kind of physical stimulation. It's completely our hearts opening up, our hearts rejoicing, our hearts uh, being full of love. And so there's that contentment, that happiness, this caring, this love that what brings up joy, and it's non-attached love. It's not it's unconditional. It's not conditioned on things being the way we want them, other people being the way we want them to be. So there's those kind of joys that we can bring up in our lives. But I think that yeah, so if we experience dukkha and understand this is part of life, and we understand that it's impermanent along with everything else, and we don't and we can look for when it ceases, when it passes, when that feeling, that actual physical experience of dukkha, or the emotional or mental experience passes. Just just finding joy in very simple things, like being caring for other people, helping other people, uh, or just appreciating nature. There's a without attachment, because nature. Rain last night, which is very lovely, and everything's all wet and sparkly, and now the sun's out, and it's always changing, always changing, always changing. And so I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Hamburger, did you have something you wanted to?
I think I do have a question. I am curious about development of okay, faith in like the process through practice, and how one is able to kind of know know him as a teacher through the teachings and.
So Amber is asking about developing faith in the Buddha and how to know him as a teacher and how to, what about the practice to,
Through the practice.
through the practice, yes. So I read the suttas, and then there's like I was saying, there's his interactions with the Buddha and his disciples, and there's the interactions with the Buddha and these wanderers that come up and they challenge him. And then there's lay people that come and they ask him questions. And so he's different in different circumstances. And it gives me confidence. There's this real human being. And just the way he responds. Like the Majjhima Nikaya, I think is a really good, the middle-length discourse is a really good collection of teachings to look at because it has the background story. Like the the Buddha will be on tour and then he'll be in this particular town, and then some ascetic will come up and start insulting him, and he'll just be very calm and deal with it, very well, or a student will be kind of acting out and he'll be he's compassionate. There's a different, I see the humanity in the way he responds, he's apparently in the suttas to others. And then for me too, that like understanding the human mind so well, that his teachings, all that Dhamma is coming from his teachings, and he understands the human psyche so well. That impresses me. So yeah, so I think that I don't know if you do much reading of the suttas, but I would recommend that. And just in applying the teachings to yourself, the confidence in him comes from the confidence in the Dhamma. It's hard to separate the two, the Dhamma and the Buddha. And in fact, he says that, especially after he passes away, he said that the Dhamma will be the teacher. That's our teacher. So when you see the Dhamma, you see the Buddha. When you see the Buddha, you see the Dhamma. It's like, so it and then I was saying, it grows over time and it grows through our experience. So I see, is anyone else? Nicole, do you have a question? Or another question from Svetlana? Svetlana, as I said, am I pronouncing it that right?
Svetlana, yes, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any questions, I think, in the moment. I'm just wondering something separate. If there is a time that you could meet, I think this is my first time, oh well, second time that I'm attending this, but are there times that you meet with people, could meet on Zoom, on the phone?
What you have our email, right? You could email
Yes.
about that.
Okay.
We could set something up.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. So if there are no other questions, we can close. I'm going to turn towards the Buddha image, and if you know the Pali of this, we can, oops. And join me Araham Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutam Bhagavantam Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.